It did remind me to hit record though. Thank you for that, buddy. Appreciate that. Okay, Seth, feel free to type in the chat if you have a question, okay? Let me see, just make sure audio and video is working here. Yeah, maybe, okay. Well, anyway, Seth, if you need some help or assistance, just type in the chat and we'll try and give you a hand with whatever it is that you need. But Tom, I was talking to Andrew earlier, and I thought maybe tonight we could share a little bit, but actually just do a question and answer, because I'm getting this behind the scenes quite a bit. But as people, they get the basics of building tribe, but then, you know, how do you convert that to a BDP or a BDP client, or for that matter, any type of client? So what do you think about having a conversation about that?
Yeah, let's talk it through. I mean, there's lots of pathways to go down in that topic. But, you know, to me, the rubber meets the road when we all collectively have mastered the activities to get clients and grow our businesses to the levels that we wish. So, good topic.
Cool. So I'll just go ahead and open it up. Let's just start with any questions anybody has on clarity on how do you take tribe and convert it to clients, or really any question. But let's try and do a little bit more question and answer tonight, and then from the questions we can teach a little bit.
Okay, so if I could step up. I mean, I heard an echo. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, great. So with regards to the clarity here, with the BDP program being both an aspect to where, put this up just a little bit higher, where people, as far as a BDP, I want to gain more BDPs because that's where that recurring income comes in and there's not as much on the deliverable side. Doing that as the focal point, I don't want to swing into selling a widget, but I do want to convert the people that are interested. So what's exactly like the process, the Q&As, not exactly a script because we're all free to come up with our own ways of doing it, but what's the process and the mental steps that we go through whenever we go from pinging the marketplace, right, adding them to our database, connection, relationship to inner circle, and then how do you qualify people along the way to win them, to, you know, get them out, so to speak, that are the wrong ones, but also finding the right quality people and actually bringing them in to where they don't want to do a, you send me referrals, I'll send you referrals, and you scratch my back, I scratch your back type of deal, but they actually understand the value that we provide as BDPs, different than the marketplace of just referral-based business. Truly saying, hey, I'm valuable enough for you to pay me to be your representative or to pay me to be a part of this tribe and learn how to build your own tribe.
Yeah. Well, fascinating question. You know, Andrew, I'm juxtaposing your question against the last week. I've been to I've immersed myself into 3 networking meetings. And I left all 3 of them very disappointed.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I left all 3 very disappointed because everything that we're for or advocate was missing in those 3 meetings. Everyone went there to get something. Nobody went there to give anything.
Uh-huh.
And as a result, everyone feels like they're hunted amongst the hunted, as opposed to there to create a relationship where we become each other's advocates and help one another achieve our goals. And it went to one today, and I swore I'm not going to another one. So it was a test. I'm really evaluating some tactics I'm going to deploy in 2019 here in my San Diego market. So to me, the essence of how do you move someone from wherever they are in your circles to someone who you really can have a constructive conversation about whether they should become a client for you to represent them, or whether they should become meaning part of your tribe, or whether they should become a BDP themselves, is all about asking the right questions of that individual and understanding what their needs and goals are. And when you approach one of these conversations being other-centric, what comes out of it is an understanding of where to relate to them and where to address the first step in the process. Now, I love the idea of being able to be in front of an audience of, say, 20 people and ask questions about their goals and their needs, because I believe I'm pretty good at translating those into pathways to help them. Not all of them are going to become clients of mine or fall into the category of a BDP prospect, but I know I will uncover a good number out of that group of 20 that will lend themselves to the next more intimate conversation, one-to-one on what they're trying to do. Some of them may be business people trying to get more clients. I'll uncover that. One of the questions that I'm wrestling with is how I can do this in a more efficient manner, whereby I can get in front of 20 and turn 20 into 5 real opportunities. And I think that's my goal, working with Brett and you all, is to create the engine that causes that kind of scaling, because I believe the need is so great out there for what it is that we stand for, that I believe we have that kind of opportunity to exploit. So to me, it's the sales process and the consultative sales process is an other-centeredness. And, I go back to one of the principles that we teach in refer.com, and that is you have to give in order to build trust. Well, I'll paraphrase that by saying you have to give in order to get other people to open up to your uniqueness as a giver that makes it safe for them to develop a level of intimacy and responding back to that. And when you do that, I think very quickly you'll separate, suspects from prospects, suspects from opportunities. I don't know. How do you feel, Brad? You got any insight onto that?
Yeah, well, that's great, Tom, what you said. And I want to play off the trust and the uniqueness part. And Andrew, great job for posing the question. Guys, I believe in all my heart. Can you see my screen?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I think the magic is found in this statement. In fact, in the training that I did on Saturday here in Scottsdale, I did a 4-hour training, and I started the training with this slide. This is a conversation that I force into every engagement, because if I want to have a relevant conversation with professionals, that we all come to the table with the same desires. We want to satisfy our sense of belonging. We want to satisfy our sense of finding and achieving attainments. We want to satisfy our sense of happiness and our sense of inner peace, okay? Free from stress, worry, doubt. So everybody comes to the table with some version of those 4. This is the conversation that I should say I inspire every single time. And it's found in this statement. And if you don't know this statement, you need to know this statement. If you want to be successful in the new world, mastering business development will not be optional. You will either want to become an expert or hire an expert. And here's what I told the guys on Saturday before we ever even started the training. I want you to make that decision now. And I mean it. I mean, I really mean it in my conversations, and it's led to thousands of dollars of clients, okay? And I think most of the time is they'd rather spend the money than master it themselves. A lot of the people that I talk to, they go, man, by the time I'd master, their thought process is, by the time I'd master this, I think you'll have me making money. But this statement is so profound, guys, because there isn't a third option. It's not like the third option is, because it says if you want to be successful in the new world, mastering business development will not be optional. You will either want to become an expert or hire an expert. And then I tell people, I go, you know what I found? I found that the people that won't make this decision right now will go into 2019 and have the same year they had in 2018. And I'll challenge the people that I'm in meetings with and say that, you know, the way I see it, Joe, is you have a choice. Hire an expert or become an expert. Whether that's me or someone else, hire an expert or become an expert if you want to grow in 2019. Because things are changing, the marketplace is noisy, the middle class has shrunk, the velocity of the dollar is at an all-time low. These are things that I say. Okay, and if you're up to speed on these things, it helps to kind of plant the desire and the need in people. And in a digital culture that is these are key words here that I'm using. These are really important, okay? So if you're taking notes, you want to write down these words. Our primary mode of connection and communication is digital, okay? That's a major paradigm shift in the world. Our primary mode of connection and communication is digital. The current default culture of the digital world is to speak. Well, what happens when you're in a restaurant and everyone is speaking and no one is doing the listening? You can't hear a conversation across the restaurant. You can't even hear the conversation next to you because everyone is in a culture of speaking. Okay? The internet is a culture of speaking. And no one is sitting down and going, how do we teach people how to be a better listener online? We're saying, how do we create better content? How do we create a better marketing funnel? How do we create better images? How do we create better video? How do we create better widgets, mouse traps, make it sticky? How do we get people into a buying decision from clicking, right? Calls to action. And all of it is about speaking. And I remind them that it's all about speaking. And I say, what good will it be for you to speak well if no one's there to listen? And you know what they do? They go, wow, I never even thought about that. I go, that's why you're going to need to either invest in becoming an expert or hiring a true expert to get through that noise. And if you really want to know what successful people do, they take massive and immediate action. 2019 is coming. What will you do? Will you become an expert or will you hire an expert? And I think that, you know, obviously I'm saying it pretty strong here, and I actually talk like this to people and get great results. But the meat of what I'm saying is I steer the conversation to what they really don't know how to have this conversation. Most people I find, honestly, they're either licking their wounds or they've thrown their hands up in the air. Even sharp, savvy people throwing their hands up in the air and going, man, I don't know what to do next. I've spent money, I've done marketing. I just talked to a big company today. And they were like, man, we've spent so much money on marketing to no end. And he said, in fact, he's wants to become a client, a big client. And he was saying, this was yesterday actually, and he was saying, he goes, man, I don't even know where to look anymore. This is a guy that owns multiple successful businesses. And if we come in strong and say, look, there are solutions. Now I'm talking after, like Tom was talking about, after trust and after here's where the uniqueness comes in. Start having these types of direct conversations. And when you do that, they're going to respond back, and you get to see, it's like pinging the marketplace. You get to see who's awake, who's not. If they go, yeah, you know, I have one guy I met with last week, cool guy. I've helped him a ton, but I have these strong conversations with him, and then he goes, yeah. And then I hear 4 or 5 different reasons why he won't succeed where he's at. But the strangest thing is he keeps coming back to me and going, I did what you said. I did what you said. And he said, after Christmas, this was the 3rd time coming back, and he said, after Christmas, I want to be part of the BDP program. So, Andrew, does that help answer it a little bit?
Yes, as far as some of the broad strokes, for sure. And the mindset and the paradigm, I guess it's kind of downloading some of the subconscious things that you and Tom both just do naturally. For me, I mean, a different video, Tom said that he'd been studying sales for longer than some people have been alive. So truly, somebody with my age group, and I know Steven on this call as well, I think he's 22 or 20, truly selling ourselves and providing that value from the wisdom perspective, from the experience, from the new paradigm shifts, and adding value to a business. And then what's making us different. So some of those phrases, like what you said, our primary mode of connection and communication is digital, right? And people need to be up to speed on that. And they either need to hire an expert or be an expert. That's a phrase I've taken away already from what you said that I'm going to apply immediately on my next phone call, because that's money. I guess I need more tools like that in my tool belt for those different phrases or power phrases. And I'm not trying to go too salesy in regards to that, but it just gives me a good bumpers as far as bowling goes. Therefore, I don't get a gutter ball by saying something stupid.
Okay, perfect. Let me take you through a scenario tonight, okay, right before the webinar. Shaper Contact, gals in ACN, gal up in Edmonton, Alberta, okay? She's in the network marketing business of ACN.
Right.
Great gal, great culture. Sounds like they got a rocking group up in Edmonton. Really cool lady. We get on the phone. So I'm gonna walk you through this scenario and how it's most likely going to end up. We get on the phone, and she says, "Well, Brett, tell me about you." And I said, "You know, I'm successful strategic consultant, life and business strategist. I founded an online social marketplace. I co-founder of a program called the BIZ DEV PRO, which is a mastery program for business development and outsourced business development, opening a couple restaurants. And other than that, I pretty much just sit on the couch and enjoy bonbons." So we did our pleasantries, and then I said, "How about you?" And she said, "Okay, well, I'm this, this, and this." And she had a pretty impressive, business history. And so we had a great conversation for about 10 minutes. This is, by the way, this is one of our accurate activities, which is a 20-minute discovery call. I was on the phone for 20 minutes, okay? So we're talking like real practical 20-minute phone call. I'm in the phone call, and she's telling me all about ACN and what it's going through, and I'm always really pleasant, even though I've heard it 100 times. And I said, yeah, I keep running into ACN people, and it looks like they continue to evolve and do great. And I said, you know, I run into so many ACN people, and I'm going to ask you the same question I ask all of them. If I've got 100 of you in my network that all offer the same products and services, or even different but competing products and services, let's say, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way in any way, but if I asked all of you, okay, this is like right in the process, right? Why you? She goes, Brett, that's a very fair question. And then I said, and I don't want to put her on the spot. Like, I'm not trying to stump her here. I'm posing a provocative question. Why you? Why would I buy from you? So what I do after I ask that question is I cut in and I say, let me tell you why I ask that. I ask hundreds of people this question, and you know what? 99% of the time, they can't answer with anything of meaning. And what I hear a lot, and then she finished my sentence. She said, yeah, you hear a lot like, well, I'm going to take good care of you, or I'm number one in customer service, or I'm this, or I'm that, right? And I go, exactly. And she goes, and she said, everyone says that. I said, exactly. But I said, do you know how to earn my business? Care about me and what I want outside of your products and services. So let me tell you how that phone call ended. She said, Brett, I have heard loud and clear what you have said. Where do I go to take a look at the BDP program? That's the magic. I educate the people in the phone call of the culture to reciprocate. And if they're not open to that, if they're not going to make me important, they're not going to, then I just move on to the next one. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to make them important. So I've already provided value to her and will continue to provide value through Engage every 2 weeks. But now she's coming to the program and she's checking things out for herself because I educated her to do that in the call. Not by saying, come look at my stuff, but by educating her that if someone doesn't take an interest in me, why would I take an interest in them? Mm-hmm. How's that sustainable? And you know what? They agree. And most people will agree. But sales predators won't. And that's a quick way to weed them out and now see who's to the table. Does that help?
Yes.
Tom?
Very clear.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I love it. Good job. What I try to do, and I say try because we're not always 100%, but what I try to do is to illustrate what I stand for by giving something. And as I'm giving something, I'm training people on how to give back by my example. So, Brett, you gave that woman from Edmonton a perspective that probably shocked her, brought to her front of her mind the consciousness that if she's going to stand out in her market and be successful, she's going to have to start thinking differently. That was a gift. And there's lots of ways. All of us have our own style of giving. I gave a gift to an EOS integrator last week. I told him I'm going to keep working with him without charging him for what I'm doing with him. And he was overwhelmed. He's extremely successful. And the byproduct of his success is he's sending me clients. You know, yeah. I didn't ask for them. It's become, I use the term an economy of giving and giving. Now, you don't have to start out at the level that I started with this gentleman, but, you know, I shocked someone a couple days ago. I sat across from them. I think I mentioned this a week or two ago. I sat across from them and I said, let's talk about who here inside of this Rolodex you'd like to meet that could be helpful to your business. It was like a breakthrough thought to them. I think it's important that let's bring this back down to ground in a different way. The question I would be asking if I were not me and I was on this call tonight was, what do I need to do that I'm comfortable with to establish the fact that I am an expert? Because you're a BDP today, you're either an expert or on the way to becoming one. Okay, let's just give you the benefit of the doubt. Now you have to find your comfort zone in terms of expressing to that person you're speaking with your qualifications to be helpful to them as an expert. And I think the more comfortable you get, I mean, we just heard how comfortable Brett is in sort of this low-level confrontation. You can either be an expert or hire an expert. because unless you do that, you're not going to master business development. You don't have an option. That's a low-level confrontation. It's very good because it cuts to the chase quickly. You've got to find your means to establish that unique selling, your expertise, and practice it, practice it, practice it. Don't expect it to be right the first time you use it, but try it and refine it. We have something in my company that we call a referral power statement. If you took this quote on the screen here and you stood in front of the mirror and said it 6 times to yourself every morning as you're getting ready for the day, embedding those words into your mind, you might paraphrase them when you start to use them, but just get your own power statement that you're comfortable with, given your personality, given the people you're talking to. And I think you're going to find yourself elevating the conversion rate of the suspects that you're talking to and turning them into real prospects for you as a BDP or candidate BDPs. Make sense?
Yeah, that's fabulous, Tom. And you hit on something. And that's, I guess, what it really all boils down to is if we're having conversations and we're being nice, the world is used to people posing as a giver and not really giving. So there's a lot of skepticism up front. And unless you bring real value, real gifts into the early stages, you're probably not going to get a second call. You're probably not going to get to a second step. And you're definitely not going to grow influence. What I like about this statement, if you want to be successful in the new world, mastering business development will not be optional. You will either want to become an expert or hire an expert. It's because the new world, keep in mind, you really got to get this. Like, it's funneled into digital communication, and the digital communication is noisy, and people have retreated to their castles. What it takes to pull them out is a unique strength that they don't want to do without. That's what Tom's talking about, and that's what's so important. So I know we're out of time, and we definitely don't have enough time on these things, but if you're taking notes, write these things down. I want to give you the practical to round out and finish your question, Andrew. The steps that a Steve takes, that you take, that anybody, whether building a BDP to get BDP clients or to build their own business, these are the steps, okay? Number one, just keep in mind that the bigger your tribe gets, the more valuable of an asset it is. In the beginning, you may only value yourself at $99 per month. I have no problem going to someone at $10,000 a month. But big tribe, big asset, right? And so the thing is you've got to really understand that it's about quantity and quality. Now, how do you do that? You're going to ping the marketplace, and the place I suggest you start, number one, is with the contacts you already have. We're going to show you in a future webinar here in the next few weeks how to just take your Facebook group and turn that into absolute gold, okay? But what we want to do is start, number one, you got to ping the marketplace. So reach out to your existing contacts and just say, hey, Tom, gosh, I feel remiss in the fact that I haven't stayed in touch as often as I should, and really want to connect and see what's going on in your life and what's in the order of priorities for you or whatever, okay? Something endearing, something that gets them to talk about them. Okay, do this on a consistent basis every day for a minimum of 15 minutes a day. And do it Monday through Friday and don't stop. Okay, step two, follow up and follow through. If you told them on the phone call you were going to do something, that means follow up. Whatever you said you would do, like Tom is really good about sending out, I'm going to send you my 10, my roadmap to referrals. Well, he'll get right into his email and send that out. Whatever you promised, deliver through follow-up. Follow-through is putting them into your system to nurture them. I use Engage. I prefer Engage with refer.com. It's going to give me a reminder every 2 weeks to reach back out to that person in some form or fashion. Plus, it helps me to segregate where all my contacts fit, okay? And to take notes and to note their interest and everything else that Engage offers. So number one, ping the marketplace. Number two, follow up and follow through. Number three, become a connector and a maven when appropriate. Connector is you're connecting people to things, people, resources. A maven is a source of information and insight. Find your uniqueness and tailor insights where you can. Don't talk in general terms about things as if you know. I like to stay away from all that. What I really like to talk about with people are things that I am really savvy in, okay? Because I don't want to be a watered down version of a basket weaver. I want to be a really great version of a strategic consultant, okay? And so I stay in my lanes and I stay in my expertise, okay? So ping the marketplace. When you ping the marketplace, follow up and follow through. If they're remotely awake, now these are people that you're resonating with, they're in the game, they believe in win-win-win. You now need to move them into a 20-minute phone call, okay? A 20-minute discovery call. Try to limit yourself to 20 minutes. Set the culture and the parameters for that. But if you were doing 2 to 3 20-minute phone calls a day, it's near impossible for your income to not go up. Tom, would you agree?
Oh, I totally agree. And the process is every 2 weeks. For those people who are responsive, every 2 weeks, you're back in communications with them. Just keeping that contact top of mind, staying in the giving mode, and making sure you've got what I call TOMA, top of mind awareness.
And with that, with what Tom said too, I would add, and this is something I'm adjusting and evolving in, it's not just about sending them a message or a text and just touching them. That's very important. But now try to add a next level of quality to it. What is Joe going through? What project is he working on? What does he really need or desire? And how can I really add value in this touch? And pretty soon, you're the trusted advisor to that group, and you don't have to try to convert clients. Clients are going to convert you.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I have so many examples of people who have become raving fans, the advocate, the inner circle, who, when they see this kind of investment you're making in them, you've got influence, you've created scarcity, and people want more of that in their lives. In this digital world where the noise is so overwhelming, people want intimacy that they can't otherwise have. So,
and they're willing to pay for it, right?
I can't. I think I've described enough in earlier webinars how it absolutely filled my pipeline, filled my my bank account with new clients, and it was just it really has a multiplier effect, because we talk about word of mouth. Well, when people start talking about you to other people that they know, and you don't even know what's happening, but suddenly your inbox is filled, your phone is ringing, people are recognizing you. I mean, Brett, you remember my walking into meetings in Boise, and people knew me, and I had never met them. They'd heard about. I'm going to go back and say they heard about this expert. I'm using the words off of your slide in front of us. They hear about your uniqueness, and they want to know more. They want to know what it is. It's the phenomena of being relational and other-centered in an unrelational world.
Absolutely. And And man, I wish we had another half hour, honestly, because this is we've only gotten to the first section of Andrew's question.
We got next week, you know.
Yeah, we got next week. So what I want to say and wrap up with this is, one reminder I will give you is I don't go out and look for a BDP or a BDP client. Okay. So that's the first key to closing BDPs, BDP clients, or any business. I'm not out looking for them. I'm out with the intention to expand my tribe, because every individual provides a value in the ecosystem. When I'm in conversations, I use the type of verbiage I described tonight to spark intelligent conversation beyond the one we've already had 1 billion times over with every person on planet Earth. Who are you? What are you about? What do you do? That's all platitude now. And in fact, people are starting to skip it. They're going, hey, it's good to be here at coffee. Let's talk about something that matters. And a lot of my conversations are doing that now. We just assume that we're going to like each other, and we go right into having something meaningful. Okay? When you get into that meaningful conversation, be prepared to have an intelligent conversation about something that matters to them. And that's why this program is so relevant, because business development matters to everyone. And even if we're not the solution, being a resource of information and insight and tips and value will still build trust and loyalty and ultimately influence. So we went over a little bit, guys. Sorry about that. To a degree, it definitely, this 30 minutes is a short time frame, but hopefully that was helpful for this evening.
Thank you. It was really very helpful. So,
Tom, one more thing before we left. So sorry, Andrew. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Steve put in the chat. He said, "Can you repeat that breakthrough thought, Tom?" His audio cut out. The breakthrough thought. I waited too long, and I might have missed it now.
I remember, if I can reiterate.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
It was about your secret sauce, but use the term, what do I need to establish to become an expert, or something like that.
There you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that should be our next webinar. What do I need to establish in order to be visible as an expert? I just wrote down on a sheet of paper here. One of my goals with you all is to help you become an expert.
Excellent.
And I think we also, Brett, need to translate how that can happen across multi-generations, because we've got all generations on this call, and you don't have to have all the gray hair I have to be an expert. I want to reassure you right now, it's really, there's about a 12-inch distance you've got to travel that most people don't travel. And it's the distance between these 2 points.
Yep.
In the mind's eye of the person you're talking to. Because when you bring those 2 points together, all of a sudden, you're distinctly different than 99.9% of the world out there.
I think that's great. I really think that's great, Tom. So next week, let's focus in on how each of the people on the call can find their niche and establish themselves as an expert. What type of, because that's going to convert clients. It's going to build tribe faster, and it's going to convert clients. So you guys in agreement with that next week?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
All right.
Then, go ahead.
No, good. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you guys next week. Any other questions, just put them in the mastermind group, the BDP mastermind.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Have a
Tom.
good night.
Have a great night.
You too. Blessings, everyone.